Hi everyone, welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel if this is your first time here. So this video, I wanted to do a look back at my first 3 months of the year. So now that it is April, that is what I'm doing. So I figured we'll just do it in order, like duh. January, February, then March. So I thought first we would discuss everything that I read in January. So let me open my notebook. I'll be using my reading journal to guide me, because obviously while I remember a lot of what I read, I don't remember everything. I actually have read less so far this year than I read in the first 3 months of last year. But to be honest, I'm trying to read more of my physical books and not just read ebooks or listen to audiobooks. So I'm like trying to divide up my time where I'm reading ebooks versus physical books. So anyway, let's talk about January. Now, let's see, hold on, because I need to look at 2 different pages here. I do have a stats page in my reading journal, so I'm going to be using that and my January pages to talk about what I read for January. So in January, hold on, let me mark this page so I can go back to it. Okay, so in January, I read 15 books total, which I thought was actually pretty good for me since I was trying to start off reading more physical books. Now, that doesn't mean that all 15 of those books were physical books, because they were not. But I was more varied in the month than I usually am. So 15 books overall, 9 of them were ebooks, 2 of them were audio, and 4 of them were physical books. Let's see, 10 out of the 15 were romance, 2 were fantasy, and 3 were thriller. Now that's actually a little bit different for me, reading 3 thrillers in 1 month. I mean, last year I was lucky if I read a thriller like every other month, which I don't usually. Out of all the books I read, romance is probably the biggest category that I read out of. And I mean that in like a general sense of the romance category, because I think I mentioned this before. I read dark romance, like cutesy romance, contemporary romance, historical romance. I read all over the romance genre. So I'm not just reading like one type of romance, but I don't like break it down into subcategories. That would just be a lot. So I just leave it as a blanket romance. Now, on my monthly things, if I'm reading like a paranormal romance or a sci-fi romance or something like that, I will indicate that in my monthly spread, but I don't indicate it on my overall stats spread. So let's talk about those 15 books that I read in January. Let me flip back now. Okay, so now I did have 6 books for my monthly TBRs, so why don't we talk about those first, and then the others I read around my TBR. So for January, I had The Enchanted Greenhouse by Sarah Beth Durst, Venom in the Blood by Tracy Buchanan, Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies by Heather Fawcett, Masters of Death, who was that by? Oh, Olivia Blake, The Only One Left, which was Riley Sager. And then what was that last one? Oh yeah, Dating After the End of the World. That was by Geneva Rose. Yes, Geneva Rose. Honestly, so I don't know if you guys remember, but I did not finish Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies in January. I actually finished it in like the second week of February. So I had read, I think maybe about half of it by the time January was over. But I ended up finishing it in February, and it was actually the only book that I didn't finish in January from my TBR. I really enjoyed The Enchanted Greenhouse. I mean, I really loved it. I think I gave it 5 stars, actually. Let me look. No, I gave it 4 stars. But honestly, that's still really good for me. Like, I don't... Generally, when I read, books for me are either like somewhere in the 3 to 4 star range, because I'm not overly critical of books. If it gives me good feelings, if I enjoy reading through it, if I enjoy the characters, you know, like I'm not looking to nitpick like, oh, that scene doesn't make sense. Like, why would they do that? Like, I'm not overly critical of things like that. So, yeah. So generally, I usually give books a rating between 3 and 4 stars. Might be 3, might be 3.5, maybe 3.25, 3.75, 4, you know. I generally rate books in that area because honestly, if something is like less than 3 stars, it's usually taking me a while to get through it. But anyway, let's finish talking about my monthly TBR before going on to everything else I read in January. So Venom in the Blood, loved it. I did that one on audio. The Enchanted Greenhouse was a physical copy. Venom in the Blood I listened to on audio, and yeah, like I said, loved it. There's apparently 2 more books in the Vanessa Marwood or Dr. Marwood like mystery murder thrillers or whatever, and I would definitely also like to do those on audio. I just really like the audio for it, and I know depending on who you're listening to on the audio, it can really impact how you like the book. So then I read Masters of Death by Olivia Blake. Super enjoyed that. Enjoyed it so much. That was actually a 5-star read for me. That was also a physical book for me. I loved the characters. I loved how they ended up being all tied together by the end of the book. I would definitely read it again. It is a book I would enjoy rereading. It was also twisted up, but at the end, like I said, I really enjoyed seeing how all the characters ended up being connected, and just the endings that were given to the characters. Now, it did leave some questions open at the end that I would like answers to. So if there was some kind of like, maybe not so much a sequel, but like another standalone about 2 of the characters in particular, I would really enjoy reading that. Olivia Blake, thank you very much. So let's see. Then The Only One Left by Riley Sager. I also really enjoyed that. Now, that was only about a 4.5 star read for me, but the twists in it were crazy. Didn't really see them coming. Like the big, I think like the 2 big twists didn't see coming at all. But some of the other like small stuff I started to put along without all the information. But the two the two big twists at the end I didn't see coming. And I don't want to spoil them for anyone who hasn't read it, but if you haven't read it, I would recommend reading it. To me, it wasn't so much like, it's classified as a thriller, but it wasn't like a huge thriller to me. It felt a little more like suspense. So that's how it was for me. I mean, there were definitely some points where I was like, oh, and I guess like felt that thrill that categorizes it as a thriller. But really, just to me, it was more of a mystery suspense. So yeah. And then Dating After the End of the World by Geneva Rose. I also listened to that on audio. That was a 3-star read for me. I'm sorry, like I said, there wasn't anything particularly wrong with the book, but the vibes it gave me and the vibes the characters gave me, it just wasn't great. I mean, the FMC and the MMC really butted heads so much, and I could definitely see kind of like overall, once I was done and I knew everything of the book, like I could definitely see where the romance side of it, like when she described their earlier teenage years, I could definitely see a romance forming from that. But the way she described the characters and that the characters interacted and everything once they were older, it just made the romance seem like... Now, the zombie part of the book was super interesting. I really liked how it ended up being like the zombies ended up being like categorized differently, and how it seemed like towards like the middle and end of the book they were really getting a little bit more into like how people were infected to become zombies, what the different type of zombies, if they could become a different zombie. Like, it seemed like it would be really interesting if that had been explored more in the book. Because that was definitely interesting once they started getting more kind of like intricate with their thinking about how the zombies like became that way and like interacted, and just it was super interesting. I wish they would have gone a little bit more into that. But overall, the romance that she tried to do in the book, I feel like it kind of overshadowed the zombie part of it. And it just... the FMC to me, just overall, was just so immature. I mean, obviously she was mature about some things, but overall she came off a little ditzy and immature, and just... I don't know how to describe it well enough, because I feel like ditzy isn't a good enough word, because she's a smart, independent woman. But she acts so naive and dumb about other stuff, and it just boggles my mind. And I'm like, are you serious right now? Like, for real? Like, really? And not to say that the MMC didn't have moments of immaturity and whatever, but he seemed more like on the path of maturity than she did once they started interacting, because he wasn't, teasing her and getting at her really, I mean, from a small place of immaturity, but also because he enjoyed teasing and getting a reaction out of her and just like interacting with her like that. But she did it because of an immature place, which I kind of understand, but I also think you're a grown adult. Why are you letting that get to you? Like, tell your feelings about it to him and then let it go, because it was literally almost 20 years ago. Like, chill, woman. If you're not over it by now, you have some more deep-seated issues that you need therapy for. That's all there is. But yeah, and then once I finally finished Emily Wild's Encyclopedia of Fairies in February, I really enjoyed that. I think I gave the book like a 4 stars or something like that. I enjoyed it a lot. It was kind of slow going for me at first, but then it picked up more, and I really enjoyed it by the end, and I'm very interested in reading the next book. So I will be buying that. Not right now, you know. I do need to put a couple books on my Barnes & Noble wish list and in the cart and check it out and all that, but I haven't done that yet. So the other books that I read for the month of January, so those were 6 of the books. Well, I guess since I finished Emily Wild's Encyclopedia of Fairies, that isn't counted. So I finished 5 of the books on my TBR. So the 10 other books that I read for that month were Murder at Holly House by Daniel Myrick, or Daniel Myrick. I can never say his first name right. But it was a mystery thriller. Super enjoyed it. I gave it like 3.5 stars because even though it was a little bit hard to get to and some of the speech was a little confusing because it was written with like an English speech in mind, and like they were saying slang and other things from an English perspective, and I don't mean English like US English. I mean English like UK English. It was a little confusing at some points because of that, but overall, I really liked the book. Now, it was a little bit slow at first, but I also really enjoyed the, like the real facts of the book that were included. I thought that was super interesting. Just overall, I really liked it. But I think I would have liked it more if it was a little more actiony, but I know it was based on something true, so it was, I guess, a little more dry in that sense because it wasn't like completely fiction. There was like maybe a little bit of fiction in there for things that he didn't know, so I guess that would be like embellishments he did. But overall, most of the book was like a historical retelling almost, I guess. I don't know. I really enjoyed the book though, and I'm looking forward to reading more of that author. Let's see. I read Hold My Hand, It's Christmas by Casey Wells, which was a man-on-man holiday romance. Definitely enjoyed it. It was a easy, fun read, but only 3 stars for me. It wasn't anything like super significant. Let's see. Then I read Wild Card, which was the next in a series about brothers, by DJ Jameson, a man-on-man romance. Again, 3 stars. Nothing amazing, just continuing the series. Enjoyed reading it, enjoyed seeing the past characters from the other books in it. Good, fun, easy read. Night of Lions by Bianca Dark, which is a paranormal like shifter romance. Only 3 stars. I liked it. I was happy again to continue the series that it is from, that books are coming out. It just wasn't anything like super amazing. But I still love her series and her books. It just wasn't something that totally blew me out of the water. But we're still learning and moving forward in the overall timeline of the world. So, I mean, really, some of these books are kind of like extra, if that makes sense. Like in, it's like filler. Like in Naruto, there's like main episodes for the series that further the overall story, but then there's filler episodes about random stuff that happens during the main plots and things like that. That's kind of like what some of these books are. They're like filler books because they're telling you how certain things are going and you're getting pieces here and there about the overall story, but you're seeing more in depth in like side characters. Let's see. I read Death's Obsession by Aviana St. Graves. It was a dark romance. I'm sorry. 2 stars. I just did not really enjoy it that much. Or that much at all. I mean, I read it. It was supposed to be like a short, not like a short story, but you know, I think it was like 150-ish pages. It was under 200 pages, I think. I had seen it recommended from another, I don't remember if I saw it recommended on TikTok or if I saw somebody recommend it on YouTube, but they talked about it and they said they really liked it and they thought it was interesting and mysterious, and they just really liked it and they were like, you guys should definitely read this. And I was like, and you know, I had looked it up because I read it on ebook. I read it on my Kindle app, I think. And I looked it up and the synopsis for it sounded kind of interesting. And I was like, okay, I'll read it. You know, it's not very long. It sounds interesting. Let's give it a go. And then I read it and I was only a few chapters in and I was like, I'm really not enjoying it that much. And I was like, but you know, maybe I should just go on ahead and finish it. Like, it's not super long. I'm already like 50 pages in. Like, let's just read it. I was kind of confused during it and I just didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I was going to. And obviously, as much as that other person who was talking about it and recommended it enjoyed it. Now, that doesn't mean that obviously it wasn't something good. It just wasn't something good for me. Let's see. What else did I read? Oh, Sunshine Unlocked Mates by Athena Stellar. It was also a man-on-man romance. I gave it 3 stars. Again, it was a easy breezy, just kind of like something fun to read and pass the time. Nothing amazing that caught my attention though. I think it's actually part of a series or like a bigger series, but because I didn't enjoy that one that much, I just didn't feel the need to look at the other books related and read them. So, but yeah. Let's see. Falling for the Hero by Marianne Jordan. It's a romance. I gave it 3.5 stars. That Falling for the Hero is actually a part of the Baytown Heroes series, I think. I know my voice is getting higher and higher. Marianne Jordan has like a few different series that are interconnected. And she's got 2 different, I think it's 2 different Baytown series. One kind of goes along with like an original group of men, and then another one, I can't remember. But I have read them all, and that was just the next in the series, or that might have been the last one for that series. I'd have to look it up to be 100%, but it was another book that was the continuation or ending of a series, and I was excited to read it, and I did like it. I liked it a little more than normal. It was definitely one that I really liked in the series, but I think for that series at least, I liked more of the earlier books better because it was, it had more of the kind of like original like guys in it, because like guys from later in the stories are characters that come in later. They're not like already in the town, if that makes sense. If you read the books, it would make sense and you would understand what I'm talking about, but it's okay if you don't. But still really good book. I definitely recommend Marianne Jordan as an author. great. Love her. She's got very interesting stories to tell. Read them. Let's see. Oh, 2 other books besides my TBR that I read. Hot for Slayer by Allie Hazelwood, a paranormal romance, and then Control Freak by DJ Jameson, another man-on-man romance, which was the next in a series after Wild Card that I read earlier in that month. I didn't like Control Freak as much as I did the others from that series. I gave it like 2.5 stars. I read it, I finished it because I wanted to finish the series. I have currently read like half of the last book in the series, haven't finished it yet. It's just kind of sitting there in my Kindle library. I'll finish it sometime. But Control Freak, I just didn't really like it that much. I thought I was gonna like it more than I did. And then when I didn't like it as much, and like some of the things that happened, I was like, this is kind of ridiculous. I was like, I don't really care. So yeah, 2.5 stars for that one. But Hot for Slayer, short, fun book to read. I gave it 3 stars. It was really interesting reading something like that short, but that I liked pretty well. It definitely, I don't know. I don't know how to really describe it. Like, it was good and it was fun and it was interesting what I read. So 3 stars. I liked it enough. So that is all for January. And I am sorry that talking about January took so freaking long. We're definitely going to have to cut down how I talk about the next 2 months because it's just so much. And I'm not trying to have this be like super freaking long. Yeah, I read 11 books in February, 15 in January. So I ended up reading 9 ebooks, no audiobooks, and I read 2 physical books. Let's see. 9 of them were romance. 1 was a fantasy and 1 was a thriller. So let me see. I'm just setting that up so I can see it. Okay. So that is so sad. I forgot. Not January. February was such a bad reading month for me. For my monthly TBR, I've tried to forget about it. And apparently I was halfway succeeding until I looked at my February spread in my reading journal. So yeah, in February I finished my 6th book from my January TBR, which was Emily Wild's Encyclopedia of Fairies, which I super enjoyed. 4 stars. And then I finished, it looks like 1. Yeah, I finished 1 book in February from my February TBR. I finished The First Time I Saw Him by Laura Dave, which is a thriller suspense. And honestly, to me, it's more suspense than thriller, but, and I gave it 5 stars. That was one of my physical copies that I read. Emily Wild was the other physical book I read. All the rest of the books I read in February were, like I said, on ebook. So that was, I read 11. So I read, 9. Oh, gosh, I already said that. I'm like misfiring this morning. So the other 9 books were just other books I read. I know you're thinking like, well, Goldie, if you read 9 other books, why could you not read these other ones? That's the thing. I spent so much time trying to read Cows and The Secret Garden and then caught up. And I was listening to Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil, but I just never finished any of them. So I think by the end of February, I was reading all 4 of those books, but I was in the middle of all of them. because I finished Caught Up in March. I still haven't finished The Secret Garden, although I have read more in it. Excuse me. And I'm about halfway now. I would like to finish it this week. I don't know what it is. Some books, I just read slower. I don't know if it's like a lack of enjoyment or like the wordage or like the pace, or it's just something about the books that even if I do enjoy them, sometimes I don't always finish them fast or in a reasonable amount of time. I'm a little cold this morning. My hands are freezing. But yeah, so the 9 other books that I read in February, I read Fake Dates and Fanged Mistakes by Alice Winters. It was a paranormal romance, 3 stars. It was a good read, easy. That's pretty much it. It was because I think there's a couple others in like the Fanged Mates or Fated Mates or whatever. I don't remember what the series is called, but I don't remember if that was the first book or like one of the other ones, but I ended up reading it, and it was kind of like I'll read it and see if I like it, and if I like it, I might read the others. It was a 3-star. It wasn't like anything amazing, so I never read anything else in the series. Then I read Dear Detective by Lonnie Ree. It was just a romance. Again, 3 stars. It was definitely interesting, and I liked it. It was also part of a series. I just didn't really want to continue reading the rest of the series after that. It was just a tryout read, I guess you could say. And then I read All the Missing Pieces by Catherine Cowles, which was a romantic suspense. I gave that 4 stars. I think I talked about this a little bit when I was talking about Catherine Cowles, when I did a author spotlight a few weeks ago in a video. I love Catherine Cowles. Love her. I'm in the process of trying to acquire all her books because I love them. Anyway, All the Missing Pieces, she only has like 2 like standalone books. Everything else she writes is a part of a series. And All the Missing Pieces was one of the standalone books, and it was so good. And like the twist and it was good. I didn't see the twist coming. I really liked it. I think the only thing that annoyed me about it was the MMC. He was really stubborn about trusting the FMC. And it's like, on the one hand, I could understand why he was being like that. But on the other hand, it was like, are you serious? Like, you're still acting like this? Like, boy, you have some trust problems. Get help. But besides that, I really liked the book. And I just, Catherine Cowles. I don't really think I've read a book that's been bad. Now, there are some books that I don't like as much as others, but that I still enjoy. But yeah, I ended up really liking that one. Let's see. Next, I read Wrecked Palace, Reckless Refuge, and Beneath the Wreckage, which is all part of Catherine Cowles's one of her other series. It's not Sutter Lake. No, it's her other one, the Wrecked series. It might have been. I can't remember the name of the series. But I had realized, and I think I also mentioned this in a video a few weeks ago that I had read like the first two. Yes, that I had read the first two in the series, but I hadn't read the other three, and it was a 5-book series. And so I ended up reading the other three. Liked them all. Wrecked Palace I gave 4 stars. I really liked that. Reckless Refuge I also gave 4 stars. Really liked it. But Beneath the Wreckage I gave like 3.5 stars. It was still a good book. I just didn't enjoy it as much as I did the others. And then I read Echoes and Oaths and Heir of Honor, which are by Chris Michaels. Romance. They're part of an ongoing series right now. It's like a second generation series from her original, one of her original series. And I really enjoyed both of them. I gave Echoes and Oaths 4.5 stars, and then I gave Heir of Honor 4 stars. Honestly, I just really liked Echoes and Oaths. It wasn't a complete like 5-star for me, but it was pretty close. And even though I really liked Heir of Honor, again, I just didn't like it as much as Echoes and Oaths. But it was still really good. I still enjoyed going forward with the story. I think really part of the reason I liked Echoes and Oaths so much was because the MMC in that story, he popped up in a few other books towards the end, or in one of her original series that this second generation comes from. He was mentioned in like 2 or 3 of the last books of that original series. Like he wasn't given like a big like spotlight or anything, obviously, because it was about other characters. But he did feature a little bit, you know, a page or 2 here and there in the other books at the end of that series. So I was just, and what we had learned about him from those other few books at the end of that original series was like super interesting. And then the synopsis for his story sounded so interesting, and it was so good. And it was just great. I loved it. And then the last other book that I read was The Christmas Tree Farm by Lori Gilmore, a romance. I gave it 4 stars. That was part of the Dream Harbor series. I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. So it was good enough for me to give 4 stars. I liked it a lot better than the 2 books before it. But like it wasn't anything amazing. But it was still good, and I really liked it. And there's like a part towards the end that was so cute. I really liked that part. Might consider sending letters. If you know, you know. But yeah, I just didn't do a lot of reading in February. I think it's because I got so distracted with trying to read Emily Wilde and finish it in February that I just kind of let my other reading like fall to the side. Even though I did, like, in like a day and a half, I read the first time I saw him. So I probably could have read some of my other books and finished them. I guess I just didn't have the motivation in February. It was kind of lagging in February. So, okay, now let's talk about what I read in March. I read a hell of a lot in March. And I'm not exaggerating when I say that. See, the amount I'm about to tell you that I read is more on par with like a slow month for me from last year. I would say last year, when I recorded all my reading and I looked back on it in December, if I was having a slow month, I was reading somewhere in the 20s, the amount of books. I was reading like somewhere between 20 and 30 books if it was a slow month. More than likely, my average month of reading was more like 35 to 40 books a month. But in March, I read 26 books. I really bumped it up this past month. So let's see. Okay. I read 21 ebooks. I finished one audio, which was Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil. And then I read 4 physical books. Yeah. And let's see, 24 out of the 26 were romance. One was a fantasy and one was a YA. So, yeah, it's, yeah. So, let's see. Yeah, I finished Caught Up, which was from February, and something else. I can't remember now. But from my March TBR, I finished The 7-Year Slip, Enchantra, and Kingdom of the Wicked. So I finished Kingdom of the Wicked and Enchantra like pretty close together. I think it was probably the second week of March. And I spent like 2 or 3 days reading Kingdom of the Wicked, and then I spent like 2 or 3 days reading Enchantra, and I kind of finished them like back to back, and I was like really proud of myself, and I was like, I am doing so good. I need to keep doing this. So then I started reading The 7-Year Slip and Under the Dome, and then I only ever got to page 19 in Under the Dome, and I still haven't picked up more of it. Not because I don't want to, I've been distracted reading some other stuff, and I've also been rereading a few books recently. I think that's really the crew of it. I can get really distracted by rereading books that I've enjoyed in the past, and then I have to keep rereading the other ones after it because I'm like, oh, well, I like going along with the series. I need to stop doing that. But yeah, I finished The 7-Year Slip pretty quickly as well. I finished it in, I think, probably another like 2 or 3 days, might have been 4. But I also finished that pretty quickly. And then I picked up Awake. Honestly, I probably would have finished Awake if I actually would have picked it up, because in just 2 days, I got about halfway to the book. And I probably could have spent another day or a day and a half and finished it. But I got so preoccupied with some other things I was reading in March. I ended up actually having a lot of books come out in March from continuing series or ongoing series that I'm reading, and so not that I got distracted by that, but I got really excited about, reading the next book, and like I think there's like 5 or 6 different series that I'm reading that are ongoing, and so I got caught up reading that and a few other things. So I'm still halfway in Awake, and I really do just need to pick it up and finish it, because it was going, pretty smoothly, like reading it. So I could probably finish it in like a day or 2 if I just picked it up and read it. I never started the ensemble, so it's still unopened, and like I said, I'm still only on page 19 of Under the Dome. So yeah. But let's talk about other stuff I read in March. So I read the next book, let me see, in a Hellhound series I'm reading, How Not to Kill a Hellhound by Shannon May. It's paranormal romance. I gave it 4 stars. I think there's one more left in the series. I can't remember when it comes out though. I don't think it comes out this month. I think it might come out next month or the month after. I can't remember. Or actually, it might be later in the year that it comes out. I have to look it up to be sure. But yeah, great. Loved it. I was super excited to read this one because both of the MMCs, because it's a man-on-man paranormal romance, both of the MMCs for it have been like really mysterious, and like I'm curious about them from the other books, so getting their story was like super great, and I really liked it. Then I read The Sailor by Susan Stoker. It's a romance. I guess you could probably classify it as a little bit of like a suspenseful romance though. It's the second book in a new series by Susan Stoker. I think this series is called Alpha Cove. But it's the second book. There's going to be 2 more. But the third one is coming out like later in the year, and I don't think the 4th one is coming out until the beginning of next year. So, but Susan Stoker is always writing a lot. And she's actually putting out some other new stuff right now. So she kind of like switches between like putting stuff out for her series, which is why it's going to take, you know, a few months to get to the next one, and then a few months after that to get to the next one. And then I read Across the Vanishing Sky by Catherine Cowles because she is starting a new series, Sugar Grove. I think that's what it's called, Sugar Grove. I couldn't remember earlier. But it's a romance. And the MMC of this book, you see him in the last 2 books, I think. 2 or 3 books. And he might be mentioned in the other ones because he's friends. You see him in the series, her most recent series that just ended. I have Sparrow Falls, because he's friends with the MMC from the first book, Aiden. I can't remember if that's the MMC's name from the first book now. I'm drawing a blank. But he worked at the FBI as a hacker. So he's the MMC in the first book, and the book was so good. I gave it a 4.5 stars, if that gives you any indication. Okay, so then I read Star-Crossed Colorado and Sun-Kissed Colorado, both by Hannah Shield, both romance. I gave them 3.5 stars and 3.75 stars. They weren't anything amazing. The first one, Star-Crossed Colorado, is the first book in the series, and I liked it enough to finish it, but I didn't really like it enough to where I felt like I wanted to read the next in the series. But then you're thinking, oh, well, you read Sun-Kissed Colorado. Yeah, that's like the 3rd or 4th book, or it might have been the 5th book in the series, because I think there's gonna be 6. There's one more that still has to come out. I'm very interested in the last book, but I don't know what it was. I just couldn't. I wasn't interested in reading the others from the series. I just wasn't. They just didn't sound as interesting, so I didn't read them. And then I read Wild Cowboy and Wild Ride by Kelly Elliott, also romance. Both of them I gave 4.5 stars. it is the start of a new series by Kelly Elliott. I think it's just called the Wild series. But Wild Cowboy is kind of like a prologue story. It's a little bit shorter than the main books of the series, which are the children of the couple from Wild Cowboy. So Wild Cowboy is, like I said, it's like a prologue story about how the parents met and got together, and it was so good. And then Wild Ride was the first book of the children, and they did one of the daughters first. Really liked her story too. I don't have much to say. I just really liked them, and I'm really excited for the next book in the series. Let's see. Then I read Heir of Shadows, also by Chris Michaels. It is the next in the series of the second gen series. I don't know, I said that kind of weird. But I was also super excited for Heir of Shadows because the MMC of this book, his dad in the original series was a book I enjoyed. I didn't enjoy it as much as I did some of the others in the series, but I liked like his character overall. Other things bothered me in his book, but not him as the character. So I was really interested in reading Heir of Shadows because since I liked him so much as a character, I wanted to know if I was gonna like his son as much as a character. And I did. I gave the book 4.75 stars. Really liked it. I know you're saying, well, if you liked it that much, why isn't it 5 stars? Because there was a few things here and there that not annoyed me. I don't know. Like overall for me, super liked the book. There was just a few things here or there that maybe frustrated me is more accurate. But yeah, really liked it. I honestly, I really like anything Chris Michaels writes. Just like Susan Stoker and Catherine Cowles. Like, I might not always like whatever they write as much as something else they wrote, but I still always like it. So then next, I read a short trilogy firefighter series, but each book is a different couple. So it wasn't like an ongoing continuous couple. It was 3 different couples. It was The Firefighter's Heart, The Firefighter's Bride, and The Firefighter's Baby, all by Hannah Sparks. They were romance. I liked the first one the best. I gave it 4 stars. The Firefighter's Bride, I gave 3.5, and then The Firefighter's Baby, I gave 3. Really, I just kind of pushed it to the end of the third one. Overall, I enjoyed the book, but I was really about to drop kick that FMC in the last book. Boy. I mean, and I'll say this, on the one hand, I get how she would be conflicted about some things, but on the other, I'm like, do you have no self-respect? Like, do you have no self-respect? Like, what are you doing? Yeah, I was like, I actually like stopped reading and I was like, I was mad. But overall, I was happy with the way it ended. But the FMC was asking for it. And then I saw this other firefighter series by the same author, Hannah Sparks, also a trilogy series. I read the first 2, Needed and Vowed. I just don't even want to read the third one. Needed, I gave 3.5 stars, and then Vowed, I gave 3.75 stars. So I did like Vowed a little bit more than Needed, even though overall I liked them both pretty well. And I won't say I'm not interested in reading the third one, but I think the third one is gonna piss me off. So I just haven't read it. Maybe I'll read it eventually one day, but not right now. And if these reading habits annoy you, I am not sorry. I'm sorry that you're annoyed by it, but I'm not sorry that I'm doing it. Then the next book I read was part of a continuing series, The Kincaid Shifters, The Reluctant King by Bianca Dark. It's a paranormal romance. I gave it 4 stars. I did think that I was gonna like this one a little more than I did. The MMC in this book has been talked about so much throughout the series, and you've gotten pieces here and there. He's not just been mentioned in a few books, but actually featured in a few scenes of a few of the books. And so when I finally realized that his was going to be the next book in the Kincaid Shifters series, I was like, yes, finally I am getting his story. Yes. Like I was all out there excited. And don't get me wrong, I read it, I really liked it. I mean, I gave it 4 stars, but I really thought it was going to be a 5-star read for me, and it wasn't. I don't think it was really because of anything in particular. I just don't think the book had the oomph that I thought it was going to have. And so it felt a little bit short for me in that area, which is why I gave it 4 stars. But it was still a good story. I still really enjoyed reading it. I enjoyed reading, the continuation of the series. I am excited for the next book. It's The Golden Jackal. And we've also heard so much about the Golden Jackal in recent books for the world's overall. And he's appeared, in a few scenes like the MMC from this book, in a few of the books. So, and the synopsis again sounds really good for his book. And again, I'm getting my hopes up a little bit, and I'm expecting to read something that is 5 stars, if not almost 5 stars. So I'm really hoping it fills my expectations more. I don't remember when it comes out though. I think it's May. So it's April now. March, April. Oh, so that's next month. Now I can't even remember where the month is at. Okay. But yeah. So Reluctant King, really good. Liked it. I'm ready for the next one. And then let's see, I read The 7-Year Slip, and then that's when I read Kingdom of the Wicked, Enchantra, and then I finished Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab, which was, I actually looked it up because I wasn't sure. It is actually considered a sci-fi fantasy with like elements of romance. But it's not like primarily romance. Sci-fi fantasy. Like I said, I gave it 3.5 stars. I think I already talked about this some in my previous videos, so I won't go on too much about it, but I will reiterate that the first half of the book was just really hard for me to get into. And I don't know if it was because I was listening to it on audio. I don't know if I would have gotten more into it and finished it and bam, been done with it, last month when I was supposed to finish reading it, if I had been reading a physical copy. I don't know. But I definitely don't like it enough to buy a copy, so I will not be. Because, I'm pretty sure I said before when I picked it as part of my February TBR that if I liked it enough, I would buy a copy. I did not like it enough. Did not enjoy the first half that much. Enjoyed the second half a lot more. But it still took me about a week and a half to listen to the second half of the book. But I guess besides taking like almost 4 weeks to listen to the first half, that's a lot better. But yeah. Let's see. Then I finished Caught Up by Nevesta Allen, which was a dark mafia romance. Gave it a 3 stars. Yeah. I already talked about that some too, so I'm not gonna go into that one. And then I read Mark by Anna Hackett. It's I would consider it a sci-fi romance. 4 stars from me. Great. I was excited to read it. If you don't know, Anna Hackett wrote, or not, I mean, she did write it, but she did a series called Hell Squad, about an alien invasion. And there's like 20 books in the series. I would really like to buy those books. They were so good. Anna Hackett has also written a bunch of other interconnected series that I really liked. But, so Mark is a part of a like 2nd generation series, but it's not called that. It's called like the Hunter Squad, I think, because they're a part of Hunter Squad. But I was really excited. I didn't realize this next one was coming out, and then I saw it and I was like, ooh. And so I like jumped right on it and like read it. I read it in like a day and a half. It was good. I really liked it. It made me really excited for the next one, which I think, I don't remember if she had already had that one posted with a published date, but the next book in the series is going to be about Mark's twin, and his love interest. So, and it's like building it up. Like, it just sounds really good. So I'll have to look and see if there's a published date for it yet. I don't remember if there was. And if there is, I don't think it's for a few months. Yeah, I'd have to look it up. I can't remember. Okay. So then I read How to Tell If Your Canine is a Demon by Trista Ricketts. It's a paranormal romance, I guess you could say. I gave it 4.25 stars. I really liked it. It was fun, and it was quirky and different, and it was almost kind of like a comedy sci-fi romance, and it was funny. I enjoyed reading it. I read it pretty quickly. Yeah. Okay, then the next 2 books I read were both by Roxy Ray. They're both like paranormal romances. I read Cursed with Benefits, which I rated 4 stars, and then I read The Alpha and the Baker, which I gave 3.5 stars. Cursed with Benefits was pretty interesting. I liked it. I liked the vibe of the story, and it was also just something different. I don't have much to say about it. I liked it. It was a good read. Would I read it again? Maybe. Not because it's not good. Maybe. I mean, it was a good book, but it was kind of like oh, I read it. I'm done with it. The Alpha and the Baker, I thought I was gonna like that a little bit more than I did. And then I didn't. But I still liked it. I don't know. It was a quick read. It was good. I probably wouldn't read it again. Then I read Unbroken by Janice Whitaker, a romance. I gave it 3.5. I gave it 3.75 stars. It is the first book in a 5-book series about some brothers. And I really did like it. The prologue, it already had me. I was already a little weepy. I was like, what is this? No, that's terrible. Like, that's so sad for the MMC. And but overall, I really liked the book, and I am looking forward to the next one. I think it comes out soon. I'd have to look. I know, I have to look at everything. I don't remember. And then I read 2 other books, a part of a 3-book series. I am like halfway through the 3rd book, but honestly, the FMC in it is kind of pissing me off. So I may or may not finish it. I don't know. It's just, the book is frustrating me to a degree. And I just, honestly, I almost didn't finish the 2nd book. So I read The Surgeon. 3 stars. It wasn't anything super special, but, you know, I liked it. And I was like, hey, you know, that was actually pretty good. You know, I'd like to read the next one. And then I started reading the next one, and I was like, what is this FMC? I almost stopped reading it just because of her. Because, like, the other parts of the book were interesting. I liked the other parts of the book. But whenever the FMC came in, I was like, please shove your stubborn ass, selfish head up your own and fall over. I gave that book 2.5 stars. Yeah, you don't hardly ever see me go below 3 stars. And I went 2.5. I almost considered giving it 2, but there were some parts of the book that I did like, but they were almost overshadowed by how just the FMC was. I mean, really, she got so selfish. And I know grief is different for everyone, but the way that her character dealt with it was garbage. And like, I almost like felt pity for her character, because she was so heartbroken and messed up from her grief from the person who passed away, that she went crazy on the control. And then she was being a hypocrite, I felt like, in some instances, and she was being stubborn and just she really excuse me, she just drove me crazy. She drove me crazy. So yeah, loco in a moco. But yeah, so that's a look back at the last 3 months of my reading. Now, I would like to do something a little fun for this last little bit of the video you're gonna see. Hopefully this whole thing doesn't turn out super long, but seeing as how I'm pretty sure I already filmed like 20 or 30 some minutes from my other clip, and then so far this one is like 40 minutes, this video might be kind of long. I hope it doesn't turn out to be super long for you guys, but I saved the best for last. So I have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I have 9 books to show you guys that I have gotten in the last few weeks. Let's see, 3 of these I have had, I think, for about 2 weeks. But I was like, it's just 3, you know, I'll just keep them in my pocket. It's not like I'm gonna read them right now. And you know, I know I'm gonna buy some more books soon, so I'll just wait until I buy my others and then I'll show everybody. So that's what I'm doing. So now, I Okay. Sorry. I bought this book a little bit because the cover and the sprayed edges were really nice. But the synopsis on the back also just sounded super interesting. So it's called Wicked Onyx by Debbie Cassidy. I just think that's pretty. It's visually pleasing to my eyeball. And you know, more back on the roses. And then it's roses and like leaves, I guess. Or I guess it's leaves, not roses. But it's it's just, it was really pretty. I really liked it. But I think this is supposed to be like an academic, like dark romance thing. I don't remember, but let me read it to you. So, you don't graduate Knightsbridge Academy, you survive it. Born into a sorcerer bloodline, cursed and cut off from my power, I was accustomed to being an outcast. For generations, my bloodline carried the weight of a crime committed by our ancestor. But my mother's death changed everything. She left a clue that could prove our innocence, an ancient text hidden deep beneath Knightsbridge Academy. The Academy is a fortress of power, housing the most dangerous encanters and sorcerers, conscripted to keeping horrors and echoes at bay. And as the last surviving Onyx, I'm owed admission. My plan is simple. Find the book and expose the Imperium as the liars they are. But I didn't plan for the whispers that haunt my dreams, or the complication of feelings I shouldn't be capable of. Stirred by two men bound to the very institution I've come to destroy. One sees too much, yet says too little. The other is steady, protective, and always in my corner. I can't have either. Yet when I'm in their presence, my curse begins to crack. If they discover my true purpose, I'm dead. But some truths are worth dying for. The Imperium cursed my bloodline, stripped us of our magic, branded us as traitors, and now they will pay. So it just sounded super good. You know, like a little why choose forbiddenness and going on, it sounds like too. So I was like, oh. So I bought it. It's okay. The next I bought, honestly, it also sounded super good, and I was like, it's called See You Yesterday by Rachel Lynn Solomon. It sounds, I think this one is like a young adult romance. I think the two main characters are in high school. I think they're starting their, or maybe college. Barrett Bloom is hoping college will be a fresh start after a messy high school experience. Okay, yeah, so it's a young adult college romance, kind of, I would say kind of sci-fi, because it's about them living the same day over and over again. So it says, when school begins on September 21st, everything goes wrong. She's humiliated by the know-it-all in her physics class. She botches her interview for the college paper. And at a party that night, she accidentally sets the frat house on fire. She panics and flees, and when she realizes her roommate locked her out of their dorm, she falls asleep in the common room. The next morning, Barrett's perplexed to find herself back in her dorm room bed, no longer smelling of ashes and crushed dreams. It's September 21st, again, and after a confrontation with Miles, the guy from Physics 101, she learns she's not alone. He's been trapped for months. When her attempts to fix her timeline fail, she agrees to work with Miles to find a way out. Soon they're exploring the mysterious underbelly of the university and going on wild romantic adventures. As they start falling for each other, they face the universe's biggest unanswered question yet. What happens to their relationship if they finally make it to tomorrow? So, kind of sounded like a slow going, not a slow going read, but like maybe like a slow burn, like sci-fi-ish book. I don't know, but it sounded good, and I was like, ooh. And it also made me question. She finds out he's been trapped for months. So after months of him going through this, she has just now woken up to the fact and started living day after day, like the same day. So it's like she only remembers that first time, and then after that she starts living it over. So it really makes me wonder, like, what she acted like in all those other months of first days. You know what I mean? I don't know. It sounded super good, so I also bought it. Now, my next book, I bought because I got it from Walmart. It's by Lucy Score. It's the second book in one of her newer series. I can't remember what the series is called. Got Mistakes Were Made by Lucy Score. It is the second book in one of her newer series. The first book was Story of My Life. I know it didn't go over well with everybody, but I still liked it, and I'm excited to read this next one, where the FMC is the best friend of the FMC from the first book. I'm excited. Bought it. Okay. Next. So yeah, I don't know much about this book, but it sounded good. The cover was interesting. It's the first in a series called The Fire That Binds. So I'm looking forward to reading it sometime. Okay, the next book I bought is called Remain by Nicholas Sparks and M. Night Shyamalan. I'm not sure if I said that right. This was something I've wanted to get for a while. I saw they finally had a copy at the store. I bought it. It sounds kind of paranormally, but also it just sounded super interesting. So I'm here for it. Now, this next book, Wretched by Emily McIntyre, I did not realize that this was actually a full-blown series. I haven't read Scarred, but apparently it's like, I think it's like an interconnected standalone series. So I don't think you have to read the other books to read the next book, but I like reading all the books in order. But this is the third book. I don't have the first book. I have the second and the third book, and the only reason I bought the first one was because it had a similar cover that I thought was super pretty. And then I saw this one and I was like, oh, it's in the same series. I want to buy it because they're the same. So I'll have to get the first one and the others in the series that have this similar binding of the book so that they all match. The next book I got, I wasn't sure if I wanted to buy, but I've heard a lot about this author for a while. And this is her newest release, so I decided to get it. It is The Night We Met by Abby Jimenez. It also just sounded super good to me, and so yeah, bought it. Don't know when I'll read it, but I will soon. Now, the last two I bought. They had Game On by Navessa Allen at the store. I bought it. So, I can't wait to read this. I'm super excited. I'm really interested in knowing Tyler's story. So, because in the first book, he seemed like kind of chill, but kind of a dick. And then in the second one, when we started interacting with him in the story, he was really like an asshole. So, I'm interested to read his book. Let's find out. Is he really an asshole? And then something that I have seen a few different people that I follow read and really love. And it's only the first book in the series. Hollow. They had the hardback copy at the store, and I was really conflicted over whether I wanted to buy it and read it or if I wanted to get the audio, because I've also heard the audio is really good. But honestly, I love this cover like so much. I was like, nope, I'm gonna buy a copy. Don't know when I'm gonna read it, but I'm gonna buy it. So here it is. But yeah, I think that's all I have for you guys for this video. You now know how the first 3 months of the year went for me. You've seen all the recent books that I've bought. I hope this video wasn't too boring. I hope it was interesting, and I hope somewhere in there, if I talked about a book you were interested in, I hope you enjoy reading it. So that's it. All right. Thanks for coming to my channel. Come back next time. We'll see how many updates we have. Maybe a lot, maybe not. All right, bye everyone.